Today we're going to be looking at powerful Magic the Gathering cards, but you may not necessarily be intending on winning with them. In fact, they might even backfire badly on you. I'm going to start off with Eureka. This is a 4-mana sorcery. Starting with you, each player may put a permanent card from their hand onto the battlefield. Now you got to repeat the process until no one puts a card onto the battlefield. I think a lot of people have this mentality that they're the ones who are going to have the biggest creatures on the block, but you actually do not necessarily understand the ramifications of everything your opponent's going to put onto the battlefield. They have ETB triggers, and they could screw with your entire plan. I've played with some cards like this where I have a bunch of creatures on the battle, like a bunch of Eldrazi's on the battlefield. It wasn't enough, actually, in the face of all the bounce effects and creature enters the battlefield, destroy your creature card, so you can actually end up being far behind here. This is an interesting one from Toilet Duck, Doomsday Excruciator. So for 6 black, we have a 6/6 demon with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, if it was cast, each player exiles all but the bottom 6 cards of their library face down, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you end up drawing a card. That card might be actually one more card until you are doomed, because of course you're going to be one less card left in your deck. So you know what? You may not be intending on winning this game with this Doomsday Excruciator on the battlefield, but you don't care because you're basically putting a ticking time bomb on the game for everybody else to play. Or maybe you do have a plan, who knows? Okay, Hexenort with Demonic Pact. Should count, huh? We have a 4-mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose one that hasn't been chosen. This is a new art. I didn't recognize it for a second. At the beginning of your upkeep, yeah, this enchantment deals 4 damage to any target. You gain 4 life. Target opponent discards 2 cards. You draw 2 cards, or, of course, you lose the game. This is supposed to be a combo card. But yeah, if you play it for what it is, I mean, if you try to play it at a fair route, you might just be screwing with people before you actually meet your own demise. It's an interesting card, though. If you have to leave in like 20 minutes and you know this game is going too long, you could just play Demonic Pact as, just as a really good excuse. Does anyone have cards like that in your deck? Excuse to leave the game cards? Never thought about it, but you know what? Those could exist out there. Okay, Castle Star with Lord of the Void. Okay, Lord of the Void is 7-mana, 7/7 flyer. When it deals combat damage to a player, exile the top 7 cards of that player's library. Then put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield under your control. I think you are intending on winning with this card. Same thing with Kin and Bonder Prodigy. We want cards that are like, they go big, but also it could end up helping your opponent more than it helps you. That's sort of what the vibes we're going for here. Okay, let's look at old boys, Avatar of Slaughter. It can't be like a card that's bad. It's got to be like a card that might benefit the opponent more than you. So 8 mana for an 8/8 Avatar. All creatures have double strike and attack each combat if able. That's exactly what we're talking about here, old boy. That's what I'm talking about. Imagine everyone else has a much bigger board than you, and then you'd have this singular 8/8 creature. It's not like this thing's going to be blocking anybody. In fact, the moment you have this on the battlefield, your opponents may be obligated to attack you. They might have to attack you, kill you, to prevent the madness. The chaos ensues with this one. This is a wild card. It's the type of card that's gonna get the game. It's gonna get the game done. And whoever has to attack first is probably, well, I guess they're not completely screwed. Everything has double strike. When everything has double strike, it's like nothing has double strike. Okay, our first super chat of the day. Thank you very much, Rated Lex. Make everyone mad at you with Apocalypse. Apocalypse. The Apocalypse. Okay, we've got, for 5 mana sorcery, remove all permanents from the game. Discard your hand. You're not right. You're not wrong. It's a reset the game sort of card. Super reset the game. Remove all permanents from the game. All of them. And discard your hand. Super strong and super nothing. Yeah, I don't like how this game is going. We're going back to 0. It's top deck mode from here on out. That's exactly. We have to draw our new hand. We're going to draw a new 7 cards, but only one turn at a time. The old-fashioned way, the way Magic. Imagine Magic being played like that. No mulligans. No, we don't have to mulligan anymore. We're just drawing off the top of our deck one turn at a time. Whoever draws lands first probably is incredibly favored. Next up, Kana with Stasis. You know, I would think if you're playing this card, you better have a really good plan for it. 2 mana enchantment, players skip their untapped steps, and at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Stasis unless you pay 1. If without a combo, this card's terrible. I mean, it's way worse on your side than it is on anyone else's side. It's taxing you for a whole new blue. I would say this is the real card that would make everyone hate you. Above and Beyond. Christopher B. Chandra Ablaze. Chandra Ablaze is a 6 mana, 5 loyalty planeswalker. +1, discard a card. If a red card is discarded this way, it deals 4 damage to target creature. -2, each player discards their hand, then draws 3 cards. It's not quite Wheel of Fortune, but you know what it's gonna do? It's budget Wheel of Fortune. It's Wheel of Fortune at home. -7, cast any number of red and or sorcery cards from your graveyard without paying their mana cost. I'm assuming it's been suggested for the -2. Okay, we got Kathan, Angel of Destiny. What do we have over here? It's a 5 mana Angel Cleric, a 2/6 flying double striker. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each gain that much life. Combat damage to a player. Okay. At the beginning of your end step, if you have at least 15 more life than your starting life total, each player Angel of Destiny attack this turn loses the game. That might be playing for a win. You have to have at least 15 more life than your starting life total. I can sort of see where you're getting at here. Like, if you don't get to that 15 life, if you don't get to the 15 plus net life total, then you've been just giving your opponent lifelink. Creature deals combat damage to a player. You and that player each gain that much life. So does their life total just not change? Oh no, I see it. Yeah, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you and that player gain that much life. It sounds like it didn't say instead, because it sounds like you're going to deal damage and then they're going to gain the life back, but then you net the life. I don't know, it's a weird card. It's a strange one. Okay, we got Cooler King with Doomsday. I guess in a vacuum. In reality, you are probably going to kill your opponent incredibly quickly, right? That's the whole point of this card. Black sorcery. Search your library and or graveyard for 5 cards. Exile the rest. Put the chosen cards on the top of your library in any order. You lose half your life. Round it up. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Would this be like the worst card in draft? Like, I would think this is like one of the worst cards in draft. If you top deck, if you play this card, you have like 5 turns to win the game. But you do have like super good cards, right? You have some of the best of the best. Okay, moving on. Meme Brule with Iwamori of the Open Fist. Of the Open Fist. How many Open Fist cards are there? 1. 4 mana for a 5/5 human monk, trample. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent may put a legendary creature card from their hand onto the battlefield. What they're going to show up with could be anything. It's basically like a mini Hypergenesis, which as both Bryce the Hottie and John have suggested, Hypergenesis. I did mean Hypergenesis. Sorcery, suspend 3. Starting with you, each player may put an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land card from the hand onto the battlefield. Repeat the process until no one puts a card onto the battlefield. For everyone in the comments section after the show, what would be like the combination of cards you have to put into play with Hypergenesis to like win the game on the spot outside of like some sort of what's it called? Flash Hulk like combo. It's got to be something else. But you would need all the pieces in your hand at one point. Okay, next we got Dangerous One with Sphere of Resistance, Thorn/. No, those are unfortunately those are too good. So hold on, but you don't intend on... Wait, are you really taxing your opponents just for fun? Sphere of Resistance. This is like, I sort of understand what you're talking about here, but like everyone, this has like a stack strategy, right? The whole point is to tax your opponents that they can't really do anything. It is a very strong effect, but I do believe this is like a little bit too much in the domain of trying to win via slowing your opponents down. Little bit too much in that direction. Steve Cooper, isn't Doomsday Excruciator this one on a stick? Probably. Doomsday Oh, did we do that one? No, we did that one. That was like our second card. Mason Hoffman, Mana Flare. 3-mana enchantment. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana of that type to their mana pool. You want more mana? Have all the mana you could possibly get. Mana for free. Mana are us. I'm opening up a mana lemonade stand. I'm trying to give up this mana away. 1 cup of mana for anyone who wants one per person. Next up, Metamorphose. What's Metamorphose? Metamorphose. I'm assuming that's different from... Oh no, that doesn't count at all. What do we got? Let's go with Lessian with Greed's Gambit. Greed's Gambit is a 4-mana enchantment. When Greed's Gambit enters the battlefield, you draw 3 cards, gain 6 life, and create 3 2/1 black bat creature tokens with flying. At the beginning of your end step, you discard a card, lose 2 life, and sacrifice a creature. When Greed's Gambit leaves the battlefield, you discard 3 cards, lose 6 life, and sacrifice 3 creatures. What the hell? So you have, how many turns you have to keep with this? When it leaves the battlefield? Oh no, hold on. At the beginning of your end step. Oh wow, you don't get these things for very long. Slowly lose these creatures and lose the life. And then if you lose Greed's Gambit, you lose everything. This is just a plain bad card. Okay, Mew Bruley with a Gauntlet of Power. Fun for all. Gauntlet of Power. 5 mana, as it enters the battlefield, choose a color. Creatures of the chosen color get +1/+1. Whenever a basic land is tapped for mana of the chosen color, its controller no, this is too strong. It's gotta be... These gotta be... Maybe we should change it like cards that can backfire. But... they could backfire badly. Here we go. Because the thing is that I also want to include those sort of those cards that also what's it called? There's like a range of cards that say like if you tap a land for planes, it adds black. So like those cards would also qualify. Cards that like are very, very strong, but you're either gonna like lose to them or they don't really go anywhere for you, or generally speaking. Okay, next up. Could be everyone gets the effect. It could be that, yeah, I guess maybe that's the better way to explain the show. Just my own clips with Bringer of the Last Gift. But is it really a bringer? Okay, we have an 8-mana 6/6 Vampire Demon flying. When Bringer of the Last Gift enters the battlefield, if you cast it, each player sacrifices all other creatures they control. Then each player returns all creature cards from their graveyard that weren't put there this way to the battlefield. Ooh, I like that one. So this is like just a weird living end. Enters the battlefield. If you cast it, each player sacks. It's basically living end. Or living death. Can't remember. There we go. Powerful yet risky effects. There you got some idea. Don't worry, but there's some room around it. I promise. There's some there's a lot of room to outside the... Not good with words today. I can make a lot of exceptions on this show. Okay, next up, we got Steve Cooper with Show and Tell. I can't tell you how many times I was trying to say Doomsday Excruciator is just Doomsday on a body. Don't know if yeah, I understood. But we did Doomsday Excruciator. Okay, and then you want 2 donations. Show and Tell. This is a card that is a huge trap in 4-player cube. If anyone's ever played 4-player cube. 3-mana sorcery. Each player may put an artifact. Or I guess it'd be the same in Commander. Each player may put an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land card from the hand onto the battlefield. especially with 4 players on the battlefield. There's no way, 4 players in the game, there's no way that this is going to benefit you whatsoever. Okay, 2 donations. Let's give 1 donation to Benovsky. Guys, Cradle? No, that does not. Definitely not. Okay, Lewis with Repercussion. Isn't it Repercussion? No, it's Repercussion. Could backfire if someone plays a Blasphemous Act. It's very, very unusual. Very narrow way of backfire. 3 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature is dealt damage, Repercussion deals that much damage to that creature's control. I like it. Yeah, absolutely. Blasphemous Act, Anger of the Gods. I don't know. Someone blocking your creature. That works, right? Whenever a creature is dealt damage, yeah. Someone fighting your creature. There's a lot of ways this can backfire. I guess the whole deal is, if you play this, don't have creatures in play. That's the only way to do it. Okay, second donated super chat to Yoinker. Concordant Crossroads. All creatures have haste. Do you know why? Because it's Mario Kart. Everyone rev up your engines. And whoever gets hit by the blue shell, well, guess what? Don't complain so much. You knew what you're getting into. Why even turn the game on if you're going to get so salty about the blue shell? I've lost so many times to the blue shell. I don't care. I mean, I'm over it. I'm absolutely... There's always another race. These races only take, like, what, 4 minutes long? If you can never get first place, that's a huge skill issue. Okay, Dustin Newby. Wish Claw Talisman. Definitely above 20 times, I've killed someone with their own Wish Claw Talisman. 2 mana artifact. It enters the battlefield with 3 wish counters on it. Pay 1, tap, remove a wish counter from this artifact. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. An opponent gains control of this artifact. Activate only during your turn. I don't know how many times I've killed someone with their own Wish Claw Talisman. Like, if you tutor for something, you better win on the spot. Because if you don't, I mean, I'm just going to win instead. Or I guess I could just never give it back again. Please read Gauntlet of Power again. All right, we're going to read the Gauntlet of Power. Maybe I misread this one. Whenever a basic land is tapped for mana of the chosen color, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of that color. Choose a color, creature of the chosen color. Whenever a basic land... Yeah, I don't know. I could read it 20 times. I don't see how this can backfire on you. Whenever a basic land is tapped for mana of the chosen color, its controller... Oh, I see. Like, if the opponent... If you choose a color, it's going to be more on your side, though. Okay, I sort of get it. I think it's sort of on the weaker suggestion of this show. But I get it. I get it. Maybe I should give it more credit. Winter Orb. You don't intend on winning with Winter Orb? As long as Winter Orb is untapped, players can't untap more than 1 land during their untap steps. Personally, I think you would be trying to win the game with this. It's the slow the game down strategy. Next up, it's Let's Get Seb Stone with... Oh, I started the show with Eureka. We'll go with Blackbird, Howling Mine. That is top 10 cards that backfire on you. 2 mana artifact. At the beginning of each player's draw step, if Howling Mine is untapped, that player draws an additional card. Yep. You might think you're going to... I mean, it can work, but it can also not work. Bryce, one of my favorite cards of all time. The Possibility Storm. Now we're cooking. We're cooking so hard, I don't even know how this card works properly. 5 mana enchantment. Whenever a player casts a spell from their hand, that player exiles it. Then exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a card that shares a card type with it. That player may cast that card without paying its mana cost. So you could end up playing a 1 mana sorcery into a 10 mana sorcery. Then they put all cards exiled with Possibility Storm on the bottom of their library in a completely random order. Okay, next up. Cameron Cole with Allurin. Oops, did I spell it wrong? Is it really with 1 L? All right. 4 mana enchantment. Any player may play creature cards with converted mana cost 3 or less without paying their mana cost, and as though they had flash. Why, oh, but thank you very much. My creatures are all of a sudden free, and free is a great price. And it cost them 4 mana. Fool. Absolute fool. Okay, Spectral Maniac with the Great Aurora. Please pump this card up. I have too many of these cards in my bulk binder. Very flashy spin of the wheel. Yeah, I know, very flashy. 9 mana to scramble the game. Sorcery. Each player shuffles all cards from their hand and all permanents they own into their library, then draws that many cards. Each player may put any number of land cards from their hand onto the battlefield. Oh my god. So if you have a fistful of lands, that benefits you. And then draws that many cards. Each player then puts... Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So whoever has more lands might benefit here. Or even if you have a lands-like deck. Mishra's Bauble definitely doesn't count for this. Bulky with Minds Aglow. It's a blue sorcery. Join forces! Starting with you, each player may pay any amount of mana. Each player draws X cards, where X is the total amount of mana paid this way. How do you pay for the mana, though? Starting with you, each player may pay any amount of mana. Interesting. Very interesting. I don't know why you would want to play this when your opponent has, like, a ton of open mana up, but okay. Otherwise, this is just like a pay... assuming best case scenario, your opponents are all tapped out, and then it's basically a blue, pay for X, draw X cards. More or less. Okay. Rated Lex. Lex trying to get back in there. Braids, Conjure, Adapt. Oh, yes. Before she went to the dark side. 4 mana for a 2/2. Legendary creature, human wizard. And at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player may put an artifact, creature, or land card from their hand onto the battlefield. How about show and tell every single turn, huh? How about that? Why pay mana for your stuff anymore? Just wait every turn. Braid's gonna help you do it. When you ask, you know what? When you're looking for a friend to help you move, you know, you might not find it, but I'll tell you what, Braids is there for you. Braids is always there to help for you. The One Ring. You're not wrong. The One Ring, I hope everyone knows what this does. It has Indestructible, and you draw cards, and you put counters on it, and then every turn you lose 1 life for each burden counter on the One Ring. It has most definitely killed a lot of my opponents. Sean Abbott with Game of Chaos. This is a red sorcery. Flip a coin. Target opponent calls heads or tails while the coin is in the air. The loser of the flip loses 1 life. The winner of the flip gains 1 life and may choose to repeat the process. Double the stakes each time. So how many times does it have to double before you might lose? So we lose 1 life, then times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6. I think 6 times. If you lose 6 in a row, that's it. You're gonzo. It's over. You have to start all over again. Game over. You lose. King Ginger. Thank you so much for the super chat. Itali. Is it really? Itali Primal. Okay, you're going to have to sell me how this backfires on you. Enters the battlefield. Each player exiles the top card of their library until end of turn. You may cast any number of spells. Only you get to cast the cards, right? Trample Indestructible. When it deals combat damage to a player, they get that many poison counters. This does not qualify for the show. Whoops. This is 100% upside. I don't know. I do not see how this card can backfire badly on you at all. I'm gonna have to donate it, King Ginger, but you're welcome to jump right back in there. Let's give this one to Alan. Sylvan Offering. Green and an X. Sorcery. Choose an opponent. You and that player each create an XX green Treefolk creature token. Choose an opponent. You and that player each create X11 green Elf Warrior creatures. There's no greater way to create an army than also give equally the same army to one of your opponents. Richard Mitchell says, I did use Howling Mine with it, backfiring before I felt so dumb. You know what? Sometimes it backfires, sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on what they're playing. The title on the show is different on the notification, but even the old title was but you don't intend on winning with it. I think you still intend on winning with an tally. It's not going to sit there like a bump on the log, you know what I mean? Seb Stone with the cursed recording. I changed the title to, I don't know, make it a little bit more clear. Okay, cursed recording is a 4-mana artifact. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a time counter on cursed recording. Then if there are 7 or more time counters on it, remove all those counters and deals 20 damage to you? What was self-seppuku? Tap when you next cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Ah, I see. It's a doubling thing. There are 7 or more time count. So you have 7 turns. You have 7 chances to double your spells before it's going to absolutely do you in. Okay, next up we've got well, let's give it to King Ginger, World Slayer. 5 mana, whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, destroy all permanents other than World Slayer. What? Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player. Why? I'm going to attack you. I'm going to deal damage, but at what cost? Why did they make this card? Destroy all permanents other than World Slayer? It's just basically a reset the game card. And the thing is, you can threaten to reset the game again. Guess what I have, everyone? 5 mana! Richard, Tanglewire. I guess I should be counting these taxing rocks. 3 mana, artifact, fading 4. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player taps an untap artifact, creature, or land they control for each fade counter on Tanglewire. Everyone seems to like the taxing cards. If your stuff has indestructible for a one-sided board wipe, oh, that's a good idea. You're not wrong. Adam, Spoils of the Vaults. Oh, that's a great suggestion. So it's a tutor for a black. Instant, choose a card name, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card with that name. Then put that card into your hand. Exile all cards revealed this way, and you lose 1 life for the exiled cards. Spoils of the... Oh, so is it... Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong... Is it Spoils of the Vault or Spoils from the Vault? Spoils of... Is it Spoils... Oh, no, I'm thinking of Demonic Pact. Okay, choose a card name, reveal cards on the top of your library. Oh, no, sorry. And you lose 1 life for each of the exiled cards. Right. So you can... Okay, yeah, this is the right card. I got mixed up with Demonic Consultation, but it all works the same. If the card is very deep into your deck, I mean, it's over. It's gotta be nice, high and dry. Evan with Oppression. Everyone loves taxes, said no one. 3. Well, what about the government? They love taxes. It's a 3-mana enchantment. Whenever a player plays a spell, that player discards a card from their hand. Better make sure you make use of that graveyard out there. Okay, we got Marty Rules. I'm new here. Welcome, Earnest Fellowship. Thank you so much for your super chat. Earnest Fellowship. Sounds like a Lord of the Rings card, but it's not. It's a 2-mana enchantment. Each creature has protection from its colors. This is some fun-looking jank. Each creature has protection from its colors. So basically, the Wooburg decks, they rule everyone. Joe with Furnace of Wrath. How hot is that? Furnace of Wrath? Furnace of something? Furnace of Wrath? Can't find this card. It doesn't exist. Is it Furnace? Maybe something else of Wrath. Gift of Wrath, Wrath of Skies, Wrath of God. Okay, well, you have to give me another card. I don't know what it is. Give me the correct name, and we will take a look at it later. All right, we're going to take a look at more cards that could backfire badly on you, but we're also going to have to thank today's sponsor, FusionGamingOnline.com. And by the way, if you buy right now, you get to save the tax from Canada. They've taken off the GST. They're taking off the HST. You know, Tommy Siddons was just asking a little while ago, who likes to pay tax? Nobody likes to pay tax. And so Canada says you don't have to pay the tax for the time being. Pre-order your Ether Drift cards as they are spoiled. The best place to get them from would be FusionGamingOnline.com. Why? Because they're the sponsor of the show. And also, you can get 5% off and use coupon code Nikachu at checkout. I really appreciate it. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. Plenty deck, any format. All paper formats can be played digitally on Magic Online. And you can rent all the cards when you're renting with Mana Traders, whether it be one-on-one Commander, Standard, Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Pauper, and so on. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 40% cash back on your third month subscription using coupon code Nikachu_8GS. And back to the bad cards, or like quote unquote bad. They're not necessarily bad. They're just high risk. This cannot backfire because you'd have 100% control over how the ensnaring bridge works. Sorry, misspelled Furnace of Wrath. Oh, RAFTH. Okay. All right, we got you, Joe. 4 mana for an enchantment. If a source would deal damage to a creature or player, it deals double that damage to that creature or player instead. Those punches, they're now like brass knuckles. Next. Blacklands Geo. Intruder Alarm. Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Very strange universal effect. 3 mana enchantment. Creatures don't untap during their controller's untap steps. But when a creature does come into play, we have to untap all the creatures. Oh, wait a minute. Even our opponents? Whenever a creature enters. Oh, yeah. I didn't even realize we can untap our opponent's creatures. That's awkward. Play creature, untap all your creatures into blockers. What have I done? It's completely backfired immediately. King Ginger. Have not seen you in a while, King Ginger. Wonderful to see you. Descent into Avernus. This is a 3 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put 2 descent counters on Descent into Avernus. Then each player creates X treasure tokens, and Descent into Avernus deals X damage to each player, where X is the number of descent counters on Descent into Avernus. Who's going to win? The person with all that mana, or the person who's controlling all the damage? Richard said they killed me with Intruder Alarm and Merfolk. Oh god, that's a weird combo. Nightmare Incarnation with Possessed Portal. Possessed Portal is an 8 mana artifact. If a player would draw a card, that player skips that draw instead. At the beginning of each turn, each player sacrifices a permanent unless they discard a card from their hand. What? If a player would draw, they don't. At the end of each turn, each player sacks a permanent. So, hold on, this is like, what is this, like stasis? At the end of each turn, each player sacks a permanent unless they discard a card from their hand. So, like, well, so long as Possessed Portal is on the battlefield, nobody's drawing cards anymore. And then we're basically waiting for the player who owns Possessed Portal to A, run out of cards, and then B, sack the Possessed Portal so you can draw cards again. Wild card. We did do braids. Let's go with David Sampson. Chainer. Chainer Dementia Master. 5 mana for a 3/3. All nightmares get +1/+1. And is it all nightmares? All night. It's symmetrical. Triple black. Pay 3 life. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. That creature is black and is a nightmare in addition to its other creature types. When it leaves the battlefield, exile all nightmares. Okay, I see. So if you have a nightmare deck, I guess like if other cards in your deck are nightmares, you play the Chainer Dementia Master, somebody kills it, all of a sudden you lose all your nightmares. You lose your board. I can resonate with that. What if there was a Merfolk Lord where when it dies, I lose all my Merfolk? It'd be brutal. But I wouldn't have it in my deck in the first place. Next up, let's get Dustin. Have we done Sleeper Agent? Nope. It's a black 3/3. When it comes into play, target opponent gains control of it. At the beginning of your upkeep, Sleeper Agent deals 2 damage to you. Interesting. You plan on dealing 2 damage to the opponent, but the opponent is still attacking you for 3. It's like, seems like a pretty good problem to have. Oh boy, gear up for orrery. So orrery. Pay for artifact. Each player may play an additional land on each of their turns at the beginning of each player's upkeep. If that player has no cards in their hand, that player draws 3 cards. Whoa! There's no cards. Ancestral recalls for everybody. Nobody fight, fellas. All right, everyone is going to be rich. I'm telling you, it's easy. Just Step 1, blow all your money. Step 2, get more money. It's the I am the ATM machine around here. Michael Wood, everybody lives. The D&D card? No, this sounds like a D&D card. 2 mana instant. All creatures gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. That's weird. Players gain hexproof until end of turn. Players can't lose life this turn, and players can't lose the game or win the game this turn. Okay, well, I mean, how could this backfire though? I like the card. I'm gonna keep it. It's a very, very powerful effect. You don't really intend on winning with it. Jess says Nikachu needs your money so we can bring his dream to life of eating nothing but gold-covered food. Jess, I feel like you've read too much Wint from Twitter. Too much Wint. Would not be surprised if you followed. Next up, let's take Arian. Welcome. The OG Miko Synth Lattice. Hope nobody has Shatterstorm. Also, hope nobody has any artifacts that benefit off this thing. Mixed Synth Lattice, the 6 mana artifact. All permanents are artifacts in addition to their other types. All cards that aren't on the battlefield, spells and permanents are colorless. Players may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. Like, if you are playing this card for the sake of making all your stuff an artifact, I think it's damn foolish. You have to be playing with this card with the intention of locking your opponent out with like Collector Roof or something. Christopher B with Plague of Vermin. It's a 7 mana sorcery. Starting with you, each player may pay any amount of life. Repeat this process until no one pays life. Each player may puts a 1/1 black rat creature token into play for each 1 life that they paid this way. I vote to pay 40 life. Oh, so no, sorry, 39 life. I have 39 rats. It might be a winning strategy. Could end up being a winning strategy. Bryce with Karthus, Tyrant of Jund. If someone ever clones him, you lost all your dragons. 7 mana, 7/7 flying haste. When it enters the battlefield, gain control of all dragons, then untap all dragons. Oh yeah, that's right. And other dragons you control have haste. Oh man, that would be just brutal. Someone copies your Karthus. They steal all your dragons, and they have haste. Right for the counterattack. But here's the good news. They can't kill you, because if they kill you, they lose all the dragons. So you actually are a little safe. There's a silver lining to this. Chen with Worldfire. I hope you like being at 1 life. In 9 mana, exile all permanents, all cards from all hands and graveyards, and then each player's life total becomes a single 1 point. Stranger Candy, rebuild the city. A 6 mana sorcery. Choose target land, create 3 tokens that are copies of it, except they're 3/3 creatures in addition to their other types. And they have Vigilance and Menace. Choose target land, create 3 tokens that are copies of it, except they're 3/3 creatures in addition to their other types, and then they have Vigilance and Menace. I don't know how this could backfire on you, to be honest. Choose target land, create 3 tokens But like if they blow up their land in response to casting the spell. Except there are 3 creatures in addition. I don't understand this card. Why are we choosing a land? Is there soul bound to the land or something? Guess the lands can be killed. Maybe create 3, but then you make tokens. Oh, you make tokens that are copies of the land. Actually, you can. It's choose target land. It's not even target. Okay, so we're making copies of the land. I don't think it actually can backfire in any way. Banovsky. What about single combat? Mortal Kombat! My favorite character is Scorpion. Scorpion for life! Some of the guides when I was growing up, they said Scorpion was a noob character. Okay, 5 mana, single combat, sorcery. Each player chooses a creature or planeswalker they control, then sacrifices the rest. Players can't cast creatures or planeswalker spells until the end of your next turn, including you. You can't cast it. You can't cast anything either. We've got a super chat from Klepto. Thank you very much for your super chat. Has anyone done Lightning Storm? How can that backfire? Lightning Storm. I can't remember. There is some clause, right? Here's Lightning Storm. 3 mana instant. Deals X damage to target creature or player where X is 3 plus the number of charge counters on it. Discard a land. You put 2 charge counters on Lightning Storm. You may choose a new target for it. Any player may play this ability. Oh yeah, okay. In theory, I think once in my life I redirected a Lightning Storm back to my opponent. I can't remember what the situation was. It was an ad nauseum deck, and they didn't have protection, so they had to just ad nauseum for whatever life that they had. So they had a bunch of cards. And they did have lethal, but the problem is I was just sandbagging lands in my hand, and I had enough lands in my hand that I smoked my opponent. They discard a land to shoot me. I'll discard a land, redirect it back. They discard a land. I discard a land, redirect it back. And at some point they realize, oh, I'm screwed. Funny thing. Very, very unique card. Very unusual too. Anna, what about Aetherflux Reservoir? Can this backfire? 4 mana. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you cast this turn. Pay 50 life, deals 50 damage to target creature or player. You can't pay life that you can't have. So if you gained 50 life from this, well, I mean, okay, I see. So in Commander, you would have it immediately, or almost immediately. You just gain 10 life. Okay, there's a world where it backfires where you get to 60 life, you pay 50, and then you die to somebody else. It's very much on the loose side, very, very loose side. Alexa, thanks so much for your super chat. The Inquisitor's Flail. Flail? How many flail cards are there in this game? Apparently quite a few. How many are there called the Inquisitor? 1. Okay, 2 mana equipment. If equipped creature would deal combat damage, it deals double that damage instead. If another creature would deal combat damage to equipped creature, it deals double that damage to that equipped creature instead. What? Why are we so sensitive? I guess for some reason they get control of the equipment or something. It's the only way I can justify this. Just a random mage with Whims of the Fates. It's a 6 mana sorcery. Starting with you, each player separates all permanents they control into 3 piles. Then each player chooses one of their piles at random and sacrifices those permanents. Piles can be empty. Huh? Each player separates all permanents they control into 3 piles, and each player chooses one of the pile. Oh no! And it's random. It may not work out at all. Then each player chooses one of their piles at random and sacrifice. Oh, I see. So everyone just choose their own pile, and then it just goes to the dumpster. This is a crazy card. Yes, why don't we just throw some randomness in here? You know what I would do? I would just put all my good stuff in one pile. Like, I don't want to separate it. You know what? You could say there's a 33.33 chance of me losing it. I look at it like there's a 66.66 chance I keep it. I'm a glass 2/3 full sort of person. We got Joe K. Bollywood. What about preposterous proportions? This is like preposterous proportions. Or sorry, I was thinking of preposterous portions, which is every restaurant I visit in the United States. But this is proportions. 7 mana sorcery. Creatures you control get +10/+10 and gain vigilance until end of turn. That cannot backfire badly on you. Not the way. This is a completely one-sided effect. Okay, next up we've got Dream Hall. Dream Hall. How does Dream Halls work? Dream Halls, 5 mana enchantment. Rather than pay the mana cost for a card or for a spell, its controller may discard a card that shares a color with that spell. Oh, everyone gets access to this card. That is wild. I don't think this is gonna work so well. Letting your opponent play older stuff for free. Michael Ing, we've done Eureka. White Shot, this is a great idea. Mana Barbs. Magic was a wild thing back then. 4 mana enchantment. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, it deals 1 damage to that player. Everyone's playing with pain lands now. And if you had pain lands, now they're basically shock lands. It's funny, the design of Magic the Gathering way back then was like, if you try to play the game, it's punishing you. It's if you play lands, you're bad. If you play creatures, you're bad. If you play a spell, you're bad. Everything you do is bad. So don't do anything at all. I thought you said wide shut. No. William. Path of Exile? Not Path to Exile, but Path to Exile. I wouldn't count. I wouldn't count Path to Exile for the show. Downside is a little too weak. We can do better. I think Coat of Arms is just a one-sided effect, right? Dense Foliage. What's this? 3 mana enchantment. Creatures can't be the target of spells. Ooh. I suppose if you play this in a deck with removal, you probably deserve to lose. You play Dense Foliage, all of a sudden your opponent plays a creature that you need to get rid of. Wow, that was awkward. Okay, we got Pabno, Banding Commander, Trade Secrets. Oh, can this backfire? I guess with your accomplice. You might make your ally too strong. 3 mana sorcery. Target opponent draws 2 cards. Then you can drop to 4 cards. That opponent may repeat the process as many times as they choose. And I guess once they get to like 7 cards, they can say, okay, I'm done. I'm good. You're going to discard the hand size anyway. Oh, Coat of Arms is symmetrical? All right, let's give some credit back. Who suggested Coat of Arms? Akihito! Coat of Arms. The Coffee Crew saved you, Akihito. This is definitely a spot where I'm wrong. A 5 mana artifact. Each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares at least 1 creature type with it. So it pays to be Kindred. It absolutely pays to be Kindred around here. Oath of Druids? Yeah, it's possible, isn't it? 2 mana enchantment at the beginning. Who is playing this just for the sake of having Oath of Druids? 2 mana enchantment at the beginning of each player's upkeep. That player chooses target player who controls more creatures than they do. The first player may reveal cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. And if they do, then that player puts that card onto the battlefield, and all other cards revealed this way into their graveyard. Philip with Forced Fruition. This is like an all-star on the show. 6 mana enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, that player draws 7 cards. You never know when they need them. Nah, I would say Death Shadow. I mean, I hear ya. I hear ya. Okay, hold on. We'll put Death Shadow. You know what? You're not wrong. Death Shadow is the 1/1/13/13, but your life total needs to be low enough to make it useful. So it actually, your life total needs to be lower than 13/13. Otherwise, it gets -X, where X is your life total. But if you put your life total that low, well, you might be very close to actually being dead. It's not the first, second, third, fourth, or the last time it's ever happened. Do we have... Did anyone not get a card yet? I think maybe everyone got a card at this point. Oh, Belle's still looking for a card. Bitter Blossom. Yes! What's the price now? We're down to like $13, Coffee Crew. We're down to $13. A year ago it was like 25. 2 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and you create a 1/1 Black Fairy Rogue creature token with flying. I'll have to admit, if you're a commander player, you probably don't lose the game. But if you play one-on-one Magic, you most definitely can and do lose the game. That 1 point life matters so much. Pabno says, half my group hug deck. There we go. That's what we're talking about. Starting with Cross, Defense Contractor. Looks like a very fancy contractor. 4 mana for a 2/4 Cat Advisor. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a shield counter on target creature an opponent controls. Whenever you put 1 or more counters on a creature you don't control, tap that creature and goad it. It gains trample until your next turn. You might be even making them stronger, so strong that they'll be a force to reckon with when you have to get to them. Next up. Okay, I guess we can get to 2 cards now. Haxanort, Dark Star Augur. I've seen people draw room off of it. This is a 3 mana 2/3 Bat Warlock with Offspring 1. Sorry, Offspring for a black. You may pay an additional black as you cast the spell, and if you do, when this creature enters, you get a 1/1 copy of it. Flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library and put that card in your hand. You lose life equal to its mana value. Very Dark Confidant-like. Wayward Guide Beast. This is just I think this is just more of like a bad card, you know. When it deals combat damage to a player, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Like, it's not like it could backfire badly. It will backfire badly because there's nothing you can do. Algot! Welcome, Algot. Banding Sliver. What the hell? 5 mana for a 3/3 Sliver. All slivers have banding. Any creature with banding and up to one without can attack in a band. Bands are blocked as a group. If any creature with banding... Hold on, it just says all slivers have banding. Oh, I see. So, like, maybe you're going to help your opponent's slivers. Maybe you're going to help your opponent's changelings, which are also slivers. Okay, Toilet Dock with Fear of Change. You have a big write-up. Now, this is Mario Kart. Funny story. If you exile a 5-drop for Fear's ETB, there's a chance that it can give you Phage the Untouchable. So you lose the game due to Phage's ETB. Oh, no. Fear of Change, the 2 mana. When this creature enters or dies, exile another creature you control. If you do, conjure a duplicate of a random creature card with mana value X onto the battlefield, where X is 2 plus the exile's mana creature. Why are you playing Phage the Untouchable in the same deck? Why would you do that? That makes no sense. Retaliate with Warp World. Great suggestion. Oops. Warp World is an 8-mana sorcery. Each player shuffles all permanents they own into the library. Then you reveal that many cards from the top of the library. Each player puts all artifact, creatures, and land cards revealed this way onto the battlefield. Then does the same for each enchantment card. And, you know, then put all the cards revealed this way that weren't put onto the battlefield on the bottom of the library. Yeah, this could... If you think you have the most permanents, well, you might have to think again. The Sounds of Sushi. It doesn't make a very strong noise. Phyrexian Dreadnought. I've dropped sushi on the ground. Just goes... Phyrexian Dread... There we go. Phyrexian Dreadnought. 1 mana, 12/12. Trample. Whenever it comes into play, sacrifice any number of creatures with total power of 12 or more, or bury your Phyrexian Dreadnought. So I guess if your opponent kills one of your creatures, I mean, no one's going to play with this card fairly, but let's say someone did. They have 12 power in play. They could kill one of the creatures, and then you have to sack your Dreadnought. I have a response. Okay, next up, Pabno. Have to do. Tempt with bunnies. Because it's cute. Is this a Bloomborough card? Sounds Bloomborough-like. I can't see. Oh, it's Bloomborough Commander. 3 mana for a sorcery. Tempting offer. Draw a card and create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token. Then each opponent may draw a card and create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token. Then for each opponent who does, you draw a card and you create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token. Draw a card and create a 1/1. Oh, I see. Does this just go back and forth once? So draw a card, make a 1/1. Then each opponent may draw a card. And then for each opponent who does, you draw a card and you create it. Oh, feels like it just goes back and forth once, but I sort of get it. Ristradin, Mass Hysteria. I thought it was going to be more of a, what's it called? I thought this last card was going to be more like a trade secrets thing, whereas as you keep going, they keep going. And go on for forever. Mass Hysteria for a red enchantment. All creatures have haste. When did they reprint Concordant Crossroads? It's old, actually. Okay, this is not a new card. This came from Mirrodin. I didn't know. I never heard of it. Julian with Breaker of Armies. Breaker of Armies, an 8 mana 10/8 Eldrazi. All creatures able to block the Breaker of Armies do so. So what, like, is that supposed to be a bad thing? Isn't that the point? Oh no, you blocked with all my... Oh, I guess the downside is they'll never have the option to not block, so you can never get in. Never can get in for damage. John, drop a honey. Red enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, destroy the creature with the least power. It can't be regenerated. If 2 or more creatures are tied for the least power, you choose one of them. When there are no creatures on the battlefield, sacrifice your drop of honey. This is an excellent removal spell, but not if you have your own creatures, because after your opponent's creatures are all gone, well, there's nowhere to look except your own. I'm not going to cancel the wreckage. That's like too much upside for you versus the opponent. The Phoenix down. Unholy Annex. I feel like we have got a wide selection of people here today. Okay, in theory, maybe you die to this thing. So, Unholy Annex, the 3 mana enchantment room side. At the beginning of your end step, you draw a card, and then if you control a demon, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Otherwise, you lose 2 life. So you're basically paying 2 life per card that you're drawing. Usually you have a demon in play. But yes, if you somehow have no demon, if you are foolish not put any demon in your deck, you'll be a dunzo. You'll be a goner. Chen with Knowledge Pool. Oh, you jank for the sake of jank, huh? Knowledge Pool. We gotta pool that knowledge. This is like the internet before the internet existed. It's like a torrent, actually. Isn't this close to torrenting? 6 mana artifact, imprint. When Knowledge Pool enters the battlefield, each player exiles the top 3 cards of their library. Whenever a player casts a spell from their hand, that player exiles it. And then if the player does, they may cast another non-land card exiled with Knowledge Pool without paying that card's mana cost. So it's sort of like torrenting, you know? For anyone that knows what that is. Might be a throwback to some people. Zoomers might not have a clue. Even when it fails, it's still Phyrexian Arena's slightly less good cousin. Well, I think if you have a demon in play, that card is just straight up broken. Let's give another one to... We did Howling Mine already. Sorry about that. I think we did Possibility Storm as well. We did Wishclaw Talisman. Sulfuric Vortex from Christopher B. Sulfuric Vortex. 3-mana enchantment at the beginning of each player's upkeep. Deals 2 damage to that player. And if a player would gain life, that player gains no life instead. But listen up, red players. Red mages. You better win the game, because if you don't, your life total is also on the line. Okay, super chat from Pabno. The Razor Demon. Opponent used it, and I beat them using the drafted Demonic Pact. Razor Demon. Huh? Demonic Pact? Oh, you can draft... Wait, you can get a Demonic Pact off of this card? Okay, 3 mana for a 7/7 demon. When you cast the spell, target opponent drafts a card from Razor Demon's spellbook. Oh, really? They may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Flying, ward, discard a card. But hold on, so what? That goes into their hand? So we talked about Demonic Pact earlier in the show. Then I guess you can end up getting it with the 7/7. Do you have to put it in play? They may cast that card without paying its mana cost. If I were playing the Razor Demon, I'd be like, no, I don't want the Demonic Pact. I would like to not take a chance with my life total, thank you very much. Or not even my life total, just my life. Wandering picked. Dance with Calamity. It hasn't been named yet. It has not been named. We got 8 mana for a sorcery. Shuffle your library as many times as you choose. You may exile the top card of your library. If the total mana value of the cards exiled this way is 13 or less, you may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana cost. So as many times as you choose, you may exile the top card of your library. If the total mana value of the cards exiled this way is 13 or less, you may cast any number. How can it... Oh, I see. If you're too greedy... and the mana value is higher than 13, you get absolutely nothing. You get absolutely nothing. Where's my nothing sound effect? Here, this is basically nothing. You get nothing. Good day, sir. Oh, we have a super chat. Evan, Burning Sands. Is that the storage card? Oh, it's not at all. 5 mana for an enchantment. Whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, that creature's controller sacrifices a land. Oh, God. You have to play this in a deck that has no lands. You have to. If you don't, you'd be absolutely insane. Typical Titan with Primal Vigor. Primal... 5 mana for an enchantment. If one or more tokens would be put in onto the battlefield... Twice that many of those tokens are put on the battlefield instead. If one or more +1/+1 counters would be put onto the placed on a creature, twice that many +1/+1 counters are placed on that creature instead. Wow, this could be instant danger for you. Everyone else who's a token encounters player is like, what have they done for free? Oh, why? Thank you very much. Don't mind if I do. Anyway, okay, that's it. Thank you so much for being here today. Okay, once we got things rolling, it was great. Hope everyone had a lot of fun. I really appreciate the participation. And as usual, we do this show weekdays, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And of course, thank you so much to everyone who supports the show. If you're a patron on Patreon, a member on YouTube, or you super chat to be part of the show, or even with the people who super chat so other people are part of the show. And of course, thanks to everybody for being here, giving your suggestions. People like Julian, Lestian, Ristradin. We got Retaliate, The Phoenix Down, Pabno, typical Titan, David Sampson, Jess, Evan, Algot, Al Almond, Steve Cooper. Oh, poor Almond. Shout out to Weatherlight Completed. Old Boy, Pabno, Jess, Yoinker, Cameron Cole, Spectral Maniac, Hexanort, Wide Shut. Because you guys are the show. So as usual, my coffee crew, keep brewing them coffees, and we'll keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you at the next cup.